This week on Who Deserves to be Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we discuss what happened at the 2025 induction ceremony. The 2025 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony was held on November 8th at the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles, California. It is now officially in the books. It was shown live and uncut on Disney Plus, and you can still catch it there if you have a Disney Plus subscription. The show started with a tribute to the late Sly Stone with an all-star band that included Stevie Wonder, Jennifer Hudson, Maxwell, Leon Thomas, Beck, Flea, and Questlove from The Roots, of course. The band started with Dance to the Music, then went into Everyday People, Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again, and Higher. By far, this was a much better opening than last year, which had Dua Lipa attempting to sing Cher's Believe with Cher herself and failing miserably at it. Also, the reason why they were doing the tribute, of course, was because Sly Stone was one of the many artists who passed away during this past year. Mick Fleetwood then inducted the first artists of the night, Bad Company. Then, drummer Simon Kirke of Bad Company performed Feel Like Making Love and Can't Get Enough of Your Love with Chris Robinson of the Black Crowes, Joe Perry of Aerosmith, Nancy Wilson of Heart, and Bryan Adams. The only other living member of the classic lineup of the group, Paul Rodgers, did not show as he's had major health issues over the past decade, so traveling all the way to the ceremony was pretty much out of the question. He did do a video thank you, though. Almost immediately, the show started up with the usual audio issues, with Chris Robinson's mic being dead for the first 15 seconds of his part of the performance, and Bryan Adams had earpiece issues. The audio issues stopped after that, though, unlike last year when the problems went through the entire ceremony, so there's a step up from last year. Missy Elliott then inducted Salt and Pepper for the Musical Influence Award, with Spinderella thankfully with them. The group has had legal issues with each other for years, so it's good that they put it behind themselves for at least for a few days. They performed Shoop and Let's Talk About Sex, and then En Vogue joined them to perform What a Man. Great to see En Vogue, by the way. Kid and Play showed up to perform the Kid and Play. For what reason? I couldn't even tell you. They were only on stage for maybe about 20 seconds. And then Salt and Pepper finished with Push It with their original producer, Herbie. In the speech, they mentioned their continuing battle with their record label for their master copies, and Spinderella mentioned that she was the first female DJ to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which completely skipped my mind. So congratulations to her. Legendary British session pianist Nicky Hopkins was inducted next. The video tribute reminded everyone that he played piano on, among many other songs, the Rolling Stones' Sympathy for the Devil and the Beatles' Revolution. David Letterman gave a really touching induction to his close personal friend Warren Zevon, who had passed away from cancer a few decades ago by now, actually. The Killers and Waddy Wachtel played Warren's song Lawyers, Guns, and Money, which was a great version, probably one of the best songs of the evening. Philly Sound songwriter Tom Bell, who wrote songs for groups among many others, like the Spinners, actually, he received a video tribute for his induction. Iggy Pop inducted the White Stripes with a speech that could only be described as pure Iggy, and by that, I mean it was bonkers. Meg White did not show, but Jack did. It was kind of awkward when someone in the audience screamed out that they loved Meg right after Jack had thanked his wife that he has now. Really awkward. Jack finished up his speech with a tribute to Meg, who he called his sister. Olivia Rodrigo and Feist performed We're Going to Be Friends. 21 Pilots performed a really good version of the iconic anthem Seven Nation Army. Jack White sat there and listened, which must have been weird, I guess. Well. Next up was a video tribute to record executive and producer Lenny Waronker, who was the head of Warner Brothers and who was instrumental in getting many groups to go on the label, such as REM. Larry gave a video thank you, but was actually in the audience. He seemed to have some issues. Getting older will do that, trust me. Donald Glover then inducted Outkast. The duo did rock, paper, scissors to see who would speak first. Big Boy won and then brought up what seemed like half the front part of the audience on stage, including the Goody Mob. Andre 3000 gave a speech and shout-out session that rivaled a Tribe Called Quest 30-minute speech in 2024. Outkast managed to cap it at 15 minutes finally. Big Boy then joined Doja Cat, Killer Mike, J.I.D., Tyler the Creator, Sleepy Brown, and Janelle Monáe to perform A.T. Aliens, Miss Jackson, Bombs Over Baghdad, Hey Ya, and I Like the Way You Move. Doja Cat forgot the words to Miss Jackson, and overall this entire performance tribute was really just a hot mess. Jim Carrey then came out to induct Soundgarden. Why? Not sure really, other than the fact that Soundgarden was the musical guest on Saturday Night Live when Jim Carrey was the host that one episode. It was a funny speech, though. Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, Brandi Carlile, and Taylor Momsen from the Pretty Reckless joined the remainder of Soundgarden for Rusty Cage and Black Hole Sun. As the band said thanks, Chris Cornell's daughter, Toni Cornell, sang Fell on Bad Days with Nancy Wilson of Heart on guitar on that one. Next came the In Memoriam segment, followed by an Elton John tribute to his friend Brian Wilson by recounting the first time that he had ever met Brian, and then he sang God Only Knows. I completely forgot how many legends we lost this past year. Also, Elton sat down and sang the song while reading the lyrics. He didn't play piano, which is odd, so I guess the rumors about his health issues are true, which is really sad. In fact, a lot of these guys who were inducted were not in the best of health. Just saying. Elton's voice, though, still top-notch. He had already been inducted a long time ago, but a lot of the performers were actually not in the best of health. Session bassist Carol Kaye, who had a hand in a lot of groups' songs like Stevie Wonder's, the Beach Boys, and the Monkees, she actually played bass on I'm a Believer. She was inducted with a video tribute. She also did not show, I'm assuming due to health issues as well. Chapel Rowan inducted Cyndi Lauper. Chapel was so nervous she messed up a little, but she was okay. Cyndi sang True Colors time after time and Girls Just Want to Have Fun with Salt and Pepper and a bunch of others. The video for inductee Chubby Checker was next. He did a video thank you from a show that he was performing at during that night, which was why he did not show up. At least that was his excuse. Joe Cocker's tribute was up next with Bryan Adams inducting him. Something tells me Bryan Adams is going to be on the ballot because he did probably 4 different things in this particular ceremony, sort of the kiss the ring so you can get on the induction list type of thing. Anyway, after Bryan Adams did his little speech, Tedeschi Trucks Band, who are awesome by the way, performed The Letter with Nathaniel Ratcliffe. Then Teddy Swims joined them to perform Feelin' All Right. And after that, the whole show got closed down with Chris Robinson, Cyndi Lauper, Bryan Adams, again, came back out for the All-Star Jam to do With a Little Help from My Friends, which was actually a really good version. And then once they were done, the credits rolled and the ceremony was over. By the way, no one from Joe's family came up to accept the award either. Overall, I thought the ceremony was a lot better than the 2024 ceremony, with a major upgrade in production value this past year. If you don't believe me, go watch the 2024 ceremony. This year clocked in at 4 hours, 24 minutes, started at 8 p.m., so it ended up finishing after midnight on the East Coast. It was a lot shorter than last year's, which was 5 hours and 6 minutes. Both ceremonies, by the way, are up on Disney Plus if you want to see them. Pluses and minuses for the ceremony. Well, pluses for me anyway included the Sly Stone tribute, which was really good, especially with Stevie Wonder, and the tributes to Soundgarden, which was awesome, and David Letterman's personal tribute to Warren Zevon, which was really touching. The Soundgarden and the Warren Zevon tributes left me crying. I'm not even going to lie. I was shedding many tears last night. Many tears. By the way, I'm recording this about less than 12 hours after the ceremony ended. The number of times immigrants were mentioned during the ceremony, since more than a few inductees are children of immigrants, that was a plus. Good to remind people. 21 Pilots' version of Seven Nation Army was awesome. Couple minuses. Oh, before I get to the minuses, the Lawyers, Guns, and Money by the Killers. Really good version. Really good. Major plus on that one. Now for a couple of the minuses. Definitely the Outkast tribute. That was just awful. Also, Kid and Play doing the Kid and Play and then getting off of stage in about 20 seconds was a major head scratcher. I had no idea what they were doing there. Also, the arrogance of Chubby Checker in the video tribute came through loud and clear. And I mean loud and clear. Not sure if the hall just chose bad clips or if he really is that way in real life, but wow. Another minus was the number of inductees who didn't show up or perform if they were even in the audience. I think sometimes that the hall waits so long to induct some artists that they can't make the trip to accept their awards because of all the health issues that happen. I fail to understand why you wouldn't perform if you showed up, though. Well, whatever. It's not going to kill you to put aside your ego or differences for one night to give the fans a final performance, is it? Well, I guess so. In any event, I thoroughly enjoyed this year's ceremony, much better than last year's. 20-year-old me relived his young adulthood during the White Stripes, Salt and Pepper, and Soundgarden. And such is the power of music. If you want to check out the full version of the ceremony, it is up on Disney Plus if you have a subscription. Otherwise, they are going to do, I believe on New Year's Eve, a 3-hour version. Hopefully they'll just cut out the Outkast part because, oh dear God, that was bad. And that is it for who deserves to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We also invite you to check out our other podcast, the Music History Today podcast, where we go over what happened on that date in music history. That podcast drops daily, including weekends, on this channel that you're either watching or listening to this podcast on. We also have the Music History In-Depth podcast, where we go more in-depth into the events that happened for that week in music history. And that podcast posts every Tuesday on this channel that you're either watching or listening to this podcast on. Thank you very, very much for listening or watching if you're on YouTube or Spotify.